Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditation practice that enters a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. And this week we'll use some of those patterns of ourselves to enter into that meditative movement of the pen or pencil, the occupation of that intimate space between us and the page through an instrument. We do that through our hands, to our fingertips, to those small stabilizers and sensors that keep everything connected, adjusting pressure and speed, holding on to our tool there, and giving us feedback to the mind and the eye about where we're moving and how we're marking on the page. So I was thinking about this and looked down a little bit and thought, all those little lines, the spiral, the fingerprint, the folding in and out of the skin to make patterns on those hands, the thing that provide its texture and uniqueness that we look at as being something unique to who we are, what we formed in some way. Be a nice starting point. So we'll develop out a spiral and think of it like that. We'll develop a drawing out from the spiral and think of it as that chance to play and develop our own unique expression through the instrument, through the page, and through a simple starting point of continuous movement and an end to a figure. I'll probably use mostly pen today, maybe have a pencil around to do something fun with, or some colored pencil to fill in the space between lines and give it a little of its own texture. But whatever you have around will work just fine. Pad of Bristol, piece of paper, sketchbook. Go ahead and gather your supplies. Let's establish our space and draw together. Probably just going to use the pen mostly today. You have a pencil around if you like it, but all of them will work. Could be simple curves, developing out from something close to us, something we're used to in our interface with everything we have here. Thought a little playful meditation on that pattern of our fingerprints and our fingertips as a starting point, and let it see where it goes, or any of the lines and folds of the hand as an initial inspiration. So you might take a moment just to look at a few. Notice the variety and similarities, long spirals, even spirals, spirals that branch out into triangles, things that meet in spaces between fingers that move along the more open spaces. And we're not necessarily mimicking any of them, but noticing how much play and variation there can be in each of those as it develops over time in us, and then we can bring that to a rough idea into the drawing there. So start with a simple warm-up technique of whatever comes to mind when you think of that spiral. It doesn't have to be fingerprinty, just at first perhaps a spiral. Is it even? Is it round? Is it wiggly? Is it smooth? And get that hand moving, noticing the direction that you may have started in, clockwise or counterclockwise, up or down, and trying one in the other direction, another orientation. That continuous movement around with the pen or pencil having to engage its tip to the paper in different ways, bringing a variety of sensation, challenge to the motion, getting everything warmed up. Might try one with your other hand, one or two, left and right, bringing a lot of difference, noticing that difference in speed or accuracy. Maybe there's something interesting there to bring into the practice. Noticing difference in directionality, perhaps a predisposition to start a certain way, clockwise or counterclockwise. A conscious noticing of which way you are starting and which way you intend to start. With the hands moving around there, maybe a couple that just play a bit from your direct noticing of the texture of your fingertips or memory and thought of those things. Something you might find interesting there in the shaping of the spiral. And they don't have to be continuous. They can have little moments where they change direction, double back, make a gap between like a maze, work out with a variable thickness in different directions, generally just keeping a somewhat even or parallelness to the shape, even as it grows and changes over time, and eventually finding a way to end it onto the page. Could just stop, could leak out, and potentially become part of something else, and it's something we'll explore through the exercise. These can grow and change and morph over time. The spiral or continuous motion, just the starting point that'll let us into rhythm and regularity to the expression and see where it goes. So on a fresh sheet or on the back of the warm-up, anywhere you can make some fresh marks, start from that blank page, empty for a moment the thoughts, only the visual reference drifting in from ideas of the fingertip, other natural folding, spiraling systems. A few breaths as you let that be the image to the mind. Let the eyes close for a moment to see that, or see the textures behind the eyes. Let the breath fill that space. Let the fingertips engage with the paper, noticing all the subtle sensations and variations as you prepare to pick up your instrument, marking. Engage the eyes now with that open territory of the paper. Use the breath to guide you to find a place of beginning anywhere. Use your hands to guide you to that place that feels like the start. Bring the pen or pencil into a position of readiness. And on the breath that you are relaxed and engaged, you can begin your spiral. Any direction, any orientation, just a moving outwards of that pen or pencil. At first going medium slow, not in a hurry, but not so slow that it's hard to maintain motion. Take some notes from your imagination if you want to begin to give it a shape or to play with direction change, or to slowly, layer by layer, change the way the pen forms the figure of the piece, keeping the pen moving along, wrapping roughly consistent and parallel, with a little room to move and adapt to new shapes, to wiggles ins and outs. And in that space of becoming familiar with the moving around, the wrapping, the continuous space between these curves, prepare to exit this spiral, or to take note of the inhalation and exhalation cycle, and perhaps an interesting feature could be the place of departure or the close to the line. And complete this curve in any way you like. Swoosh out, a dive in, a stop, whatever comes to you. There is the first establishing moment on the paper. And now we can take in with our eyes some of the effects of that first engagement. It's more centered, more asymmetrical, angled, or regular to the edges. Noticing how the page now establishes territories above, below, left, and right of that first engagement. And within that, finding the next moment, perhaps knowing coming from the center and working out, you could tuck into a corner or a notch, or live far away and allow them slowly to become things with relationship to each other. And this time we'll give a little more focus to our breath on the spiral. We have a sense of the movement, a sense of the play, and see if something holding our attention like the breath can open up a little bit more of that space. So as you find your new place, take a couple of relaxing, establishing breaths. When you're ready, take an inhale to really set that starting position and direction. And on the exhalation, begin moving the pen onto the paper with the pacing of the breath. Note when the body wants to breathe in, when the body wants to breathe out. And see if you can begin to bring that into moments of interaction, whether that's coordinates along the spiral, or changes in direction, an inhalation, perhaps picking up a little speed, causing a little disturbance to the spiral. An exhalation, smoothing it out, or vice versa. Whichever way you begin to notice that difference. It brings a different energy and engagement potentially to the hand. Different speed, the connection between the fingers and the mind and the eye. Breathing our way around. Noticing more engagement of the inhalation and exhalation. Letting the mark curve play out its game on the page. And in the space of the next few breaths, even the next few rotations around, choosing a place again of exiting the system. Begin to guide the breath towards that exit. And on your mark, disengage the mark of the spiral. Yep, same mark, just a stop, a swoosh, a dive in, anything that you find there, just your mark of that moment. And take in again a little of what forms, the interaction between the two denser figures and anything else forming on the paper. Finding with our eyes loosely drifting across the field another place of engagement. Again, it could take from a shape or start a new condition anywhere. And take a few breaths as you prepare for that next round of spiraling. Inhale as you feel ready. Bring a pen or pencil to place and move along the exhale. Similar to the last one, are they bringing the attention to the synchronization of the hand and the breath? connection between different cycles, the inhalation, the hold at the top for a moment, the exhalation, the vacuum at the bottom, and again. Our attention mostly inward, feeling that cycle of the breath, the effects of the rise and fall of our torso. The effects of the oxygen filling out that space of our lungs. Speed, change, and influence. There's a change in our body, position, trickles out through the fingers, into the page, into that unique imprinting of the spiral. And when you feel ready, if space begins to become a constraint, the size begins to become large and more of a challenge to keep engagement with, finding again your place of exiting the system. Guiding your breath towards that moment, letting it complete the shape there. With those two heavy focuses on the breath cycle, may take a moment to read over and see the changes developing, the different ways our eyes and imagination, our hand and the pen or pencil have formed these spiraling fields. If we see something as a place to start and engage, see something in the composition, and we can bring some balance and evenness to that attention to the drawing and attention to the breath, starting with it as our guide in a new place to begin a new formation. As you're ready, an inhalation to prepare that first moment of engagement, and an exhalation to start the journey of the pen or pencil. And while we'll notice our breathing cycle in and out, let it drift back to its natural oscillation. Bring some attention to the foreground of our hands' engagement with the instrument, noticing where it sits on your fingers, noticing the pressure that changes as you move. Some of it on the fingertips, some on the sides or edges, some dynamic shifting around this round shape, continuous remapping in the mind of directionality, curvature, and flow. Be some more static place of anchoring, palm sitting on the table edge. the thumb pressing to keep the instrument from moving away. And we begin to notice in the hand there. Then we can go more onto your cue, your noticing of when an opportunity to exit the system arises, whether that's in shape, density, constraint, and guide the departure. We'll take a few moments now with the senses all engaged, internal, that cycle of the body, external to our engagement with the paper and the pencil, with the pen, and draw for a few minutes, continuing motif or finding new ways of applying it, just working into that even movement, continual change, and play. System established, a way of working through that space between. We might draw into, embellish, depart from, or just play anew and all that potential relationship between things. So feel free to let the eyes wander to find places of new engagement. It might strike you the embellishment of a curve, the capping of an entrance, the filling of a gap between little moments in the drawing formed through the interaction of the whole. Would add another layer of that unique forming the space. Perhaps begin to suggest another scale of interaction. The space between these spiraling arms. Transition from one condition to another. There are mechanisms of layering, bringing that folded texture throughout the page. It will not be as a spiral, but as a something similar way of transitioning from one mechanism of growth to another that shares a language and slowly reaches out into variation. As we built up a field here, it brings with it recognizable moments, things maybe we've seen before, whether in the vicinity of the drawing, the acts, or on our fingertips, or out there in the thousands of images we interact with, experiences we've had, may come into influence the way we see potential moments we can create here. as we play in a bit of a spiraling and folding territory. If ever we get a little lost, not sure how to engage with a space, can always leave it empty. Or return to the roots, the base, the code, unfolding, spiral with potential play and variation. Adaptable, fitting to the scale of the moment. Giving us a place to begin, potential endless expansion. But in that endlessness of the spiral, the thing that can go on and on out from the center, in and in until the pen is just too small to interact anymore. It can come to conclusion at any time. We've practiced through the exercise when we recognize a moment of departure, a place to exit from one journey and reach out to the beginning of another. So as you find that place and wherever you're currently drawing, a moment to take a few breaths, re-guide the speed and intensity of the pen or pencil towards the ending for a moment. Take that breath and let it leak out its final engagement with the paper. As you feel ready, let the pen or pencil come to rest. Let your mind relax the hands. Drawing hand has a good amount of tightness now from that continuous movement and working back and forth, moving it with its counterpart, flexing all the fingers, giving it a nice stretch, an opening, a nice relaxing setting to the table or page. Maybe a good squeeze and release. Just to tickle every part of it and finding a relaxing place for it to sit for a moment. The hands up or down, just somewhere comfortable and neutral, not holding them one way or another, letting them almost vanish from our attention as we take a few closing breaths, bring the whole body back into our space, filling out up and back, filling out side to side, feeling our clothes move for our structure, feeling our shoulders rise, our torso expand, feeling the mind becoming re-aware of all the parts as it leaks from the hands and flows back through the whole system. And then as you feel ready, opening your eyes, bringing your attention back around to your space, and closing out your exercise for today. I find it interesting after each exercise, taking a little time of reflection. That might be something to do in a journal, or just sit with yourself and look at the window, look at a wall, and think about your experience there in any type of meditation. A few more meta minutes of meditation on top of the meditation, perhaps. But as we go on any kind of creative journey and expression, a play of the pen or pencil onto the paper, a starting point of an idea that then works its way out through time, through practice, through our skill, or through what comes to our imagination, we might find a very different path than where we thought we began. And just noting that, taking shape of it in the mind, taking away from it anything that was interesting. It brought relaxation, it brought creative interest. Maybe we recognize something new, and having that time to just reflect for a moment or two, give ourselves a little space, maybe get inspired to go a little farther, draw a little more, or take it into another dimension, right? Something larger, something physical, something different, whatever it may be. It's important to use a few of those refreshing, relaxing breaths, use a few of those moments we've carved out to be with our work, be with our practice, and consider how we'll continue to develop it as we go on in our journey. And I thank you for joining along in these exercises. If you like what you found here, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe for new content every week. Usually on Wednesday mornings, there'll be a new take on the practice of mindfulness through this act of drawing. Always trying to come up with something different, something to engage the imagination and slowly build both skill and attention and awareness to that connection to the page. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and draw well. Thank you.